Joe Biden the Freemason? Former U.S. President Joe Biden has been affiliated with Freemasonry and was recently conferred the rank of Master at the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of South Carolina on January 19, 2025. Catholics faithful to the magisterium cannot receive this news indifferently, whether they are American, European, or from any other part of the world. Dear friends, the well-known Catholic The Remnant newspaper published an article of mine titled Joe Biden the Freemason. News that does not surprise, but confirms, on January 29, 2025. You can find the link in the description. Enjoy your listening. First of all, the fact that Victor C. Major, the Grand Master of the Lodge in question, conferred the rank of Master, which is the third and highest of the so-called Blue Lodge degrees, Apprentice, Fellowcraft, and Master, suggests that Biden had already been initiated into Freemasonry, probably in the same lodge, years or decades ago, and that only now, after an initiatory journey, there has been a public recognition, with all honors for his exceptional service to the United States of America. Generally speaking, those who have only received the apprentice degree are considered Freemasons, but hold limited privileges until they attain the Master Mason degree. In the lodges recognized by the United Grant Lodge of England, and the lodge in question is one of them, only a Master Mason can receive a Grand Lodge certificate. Prince Hall Freemasonry is one of the oldest and most recognized Masonic obediences in America. It consists of a confederation of Grand Lodges, each independent in its governance, and was founded in the 18th century to allow the initiation of African American men who were excluded from traditional lodges at the time. Although there is often the claim that this lodge is a separate and independent entity from Anglo-Saxon Freemasonry, it nevertheless shares the same esoteric and anti-Catholic principles as every other Masonic obedience. It is worth reminding Catholics that, since its appearance in modern history in 1717 in London, Freemasonry has received 587 magisterial condemnations from the Catholic Church, if the counts are correct, at least. The history of this rich doctrinal corpus can be divided into 4 phases. The first phase runs from 1738 to 1903. This is the period richest in documents, beginning with the apostolic letter in Eminenti Apostolatus Specula by Pope Clement XII, 1738, and culminating with the encyclical Humanum Genus by Leo XIII, 1884. The latter represents the most important magisterial document on the subversive nature of Freemasonry, particularly its opposition to the Christian order and the social kingship of Christ. The second period runs from 1903 to 1962. Although magisterial interventions become more sporadic, the condemnation is officially reiterated by the 1917 Code of Canon Law, in Canon 2335, which establishes lati sententiae excommunication for anyone affiliated with a Masonic lodge. The third period runs from 1962 to 1981. It is the time of magisterial silence. This period coincides with the so-called opening of the Church to the modern world promoted by the Second Vatican Council. Many prelates, instead of condemning Freemasonry, sought dialogue, often falling victim to its wiles. Today we know, with historical sources in hand, that many of those high-ranking prelates were themselves initiated into Masonic lodges. Just to name a few: Annibale Bugnini, Sebastiano Baggio, Agostino Casaroli, Paul Marcinkus, Ugo Poletti, Carlo Maria Martini, and many others. The fourth period runs from 1981 to the present. The 1983 Code of Canon Law replaced the explicit condemnation of Freemasonry with a more vague formula. Canon 1374 states, "A person who joins an association which plots against the Church is to be punished with a just penalty. One who promotes or takes office in such an association is to be punished with an interdict." This means that only those at the top of the lodges or obediences, or those who actively conduct Masonic proselytism and promote explicitly anti-Catholic Masonic values, should be punished with interdict, which means they cannot celebrate or take an active part in the administration of sacraments and sacramentals, nor receive them, cf. Can 1331, Section 1. For those who are affiliated but do not hold public or active Masonic roles or leadership positions, the penalty is left to the discretion of the ordinary, who must impose a just penalty, but it is not further specified. A bishop could adopt the minimum sanction, such as a penance, or take no action at all, as has often been the case. Indeed, this canon has been used in the past as a loophole by many infiltrated Freemasons to avoid any sanctions. If a Freemason officially presents himself as a friend of the Church and even a defender of Catholic values, as Saverio Ferra did, a member of the Grand Lodge of Italy of the ancient free and accepted Masons, who in 1908 fiercely defended the teaching of Catholic religion in schools and Parliament, then he can manage to escape interdiction or other minor sanctions. However, the Declaration on Freemasonry by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, 1983, clarified, "The Church's negative judgment regarding Masonic associations remains unchanged, as their principles have always been considered irreconcilable with the Church's doctrine and therefore membership in them remains forbidden. The faithful who belong to Masonic associations are in a state of grave sin and cannot receive Holy Communion. Therefore, it appears that not only Masonic authorities and promoters are interdicted, but anyone affiliated with any obedience and lodge." It is also important to remember the most recent pronouncement by Cardinal Fernandez on behalf of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, which essentially confirms the position of John Paul II. The fact that the President of the United States, who claims to be Catholic, has been honored by being welcomed into the Grand Lodge Prince Hall of South Carolina once again demonstrates the complicity between pseudo-Catholic politicians and Freemasonry. This event raises a crucial question. How can a man who professes to be Catholic and receives the sacraments affiliate himself with an organization that the Church has repeatedly condemned? One must not fall into the deception of considering certain Masonic obediences as more mild or even benevolent towards Catholicism. This is a typical argument used by some obediences, but it is an illusion. Freemasonry, in all its forms, remains irreducibly an enemy of the Church, as its goal is the dissolution of Catholic society and the promotion of a secular order founded on Gnostic principles. Freemasonry continues to exert a pernicious influence on political and cultural institutions, and the fact that a supposedly Catholic president of the United States adheres to it demonstrates the urgent need for renewed anti-Masonic vigilance. The shepherds of the Church must once again speak with clarity and firmness, without ambiguity or compromise. Biden's adherence to Freemasonry is incompatible with the Catholic faith, and his public position makes his scandal even more serious. The faithful, for their part, must rediscover the teachings of the traditional magisterium and defend the Church from the attacks of occult forces that seek to infiltrate and subvert the order from within. The struggle between the Church and Freemasonry is an ongoing conflict that requires courage and discernment, as well as fidelity and love for doctrine, morality, and the sacraments.